Kim's
Yeah, it's wonderful.
as good as it gets.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. There's a dog. Good afternoon, everybody. Just one item of business I'd like to take care of before I call the meeting to order. I would just like to take a moment to recognize Anna Abbey for all her service to West-MEC. She will be retiring April 1st, so this is her last board meeting. And I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for the board, for West-MEC, and for our students. All right, so now I can call the meeting to order. That wasn't on the agenda. So first item up is adoption of the agenda as presented. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. Miglerino, seconded by Dr. Pignarelli. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is adopted. All right, I would like to call up Ms. Holly Medina, our Northwest Campus Administrator, to lead us in the pledge, and that will be followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to item number 5. We have 3 sets of minutes to approve. We can do that all at once, can't we? Does anyone have any corrections to the minutes of February 2nd, 9th, or 16th? All right, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. Kay and Mr. Ramirez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Moving on to current events. Mr. Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a reminder for the board that next week is the spring break for our campuses, and many of our districts, not all of them, but several are all on spring break next week, so just let you know that. And as a reminder, the corporate office here and the Start building next door do not close for spring break, but our campuses get pretty slow next week. So well-deserved. It's that time of the year. Spring break is here, and we're well into, hard to believe, we're almost headed into the last quarter of another school year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody on the board have any updates?
Well, I've got a couple more advisory meetings. Very.
What ones have you gone to?
I went to pharmaceutical last month, the month before, then I went to aviation or avionics. Lots of education for me.
Anybody else? All right. Moving on to item number 7, the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve if nobody has anything to be pulled. I would entertain a motion then.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, call to the public. Today we have 2 people. So first up, I would like to call Dr. Aaron Parsons to the public.
Good evening, Chairman Straka, Governing Board members, Superintendent Donovan. As already introduced, my name is Aaron Parsons. I'm the campus administrator for the Southwest campus. Thank you for allowing me to speak. As a conservative, a constitutionalist, and U.S. Army veteran, and a member of this district, I wanted to lead by expressing my thanks to the district, its board, leadership, for maintaining a focus on fiscal conservation and maintenance of values. A bit of background, I was a CTE student. I struggled in high school outside of my CTE and ROTC classes. After high school, I opted to serve in the U.S. Army. After a time, I transitioned into private industry, semiconductors to be specific, for 14 years. Later, I wasn't fulfilling, so I made a life choice to return to a life of service and become an educator. Because of that choice, I have great respect for what you do here serving as members of this board. CTE, in my opinion, is where public education is doing things right. It is not only what education should look like, in my opinion, but is also school choice inside the public system, which is a big deal. Last month, I had the pleasure to address a topic of concern for myself as a site administrator, employee retention. In my discussion, I mentioned something I wanted to expound upon, the iceberg of teaching. When I made the choice to become an educator, I admit that the quality of life factors played heavily in my decision. I had younger kids, my wife's career trajectory was up, and could support the decrease in pay I was considering. After all, it would have me home early every day. I would have all my weekends, holidays off, and let's not forget summer vacation. I was sold. I quickly learned that this was not what happens in education. Right off in industry, I worked a compressed week, which resulted in me only working 50% of any year. I lost days off. I lost pay. My insurance costs went up as I added my dependents to my insurance. I also found out that what everybody knows is teaching is actually the presentation of the work. It's not the grading, the planning, the CTSO obligation, the work-based learning, the community service, the service learning, site visits, etc. In a regular school district, I quickly found myself working evenings, weekends, and multiple weeks of my summer. This ratcheted up again when I moved to West-MEC. We operate campuses that are open 15 to 16 hours and specialize in all of the things that a normal teacher would consider as optional or peripheral. We do this primarily in a non-traditional hour set so we can accommodate regular school's hours. Dr. Erb has spoken about people who have the choice to leave and why they do it. It boils down to a few things: pay and quality of life. I will leave off the discussion of pay as this is not the context for that. I want to focus on quality of life. Simply put, we expect a lot from our people. We have campuses, like I said, that are open 15 to 16 hours a day, with multiple learning systems functioning on them at any given point in time. We have longer contracts to facilitate the training of people exiting industry and becoming teachers. We conduct our work-based learning opportunities to help maintain our leading edge. Perhaps some people have figured out how to have this perceived educator quality of life that everyone always talks about, but it isn't me. It isn't anyone I know at West-MEC. Recently, Southwest Campus lost a valued employee to an external opportunity. He will increase his pay roughly $30K annually. He will transition from a 5-day to a 4-day work week, with 2 of those days being optional work from home days, and increased vacation time above and beyond what we were providing. Keeping employees is many-faceted, but the quality of life and compensation are 2 big keys. Our mission, which is to provide hands-on instruction, we cannot complete that if we are doing what has been considered the norm in many companies since COVID regarding quality of life. Perks such as flexible Fridays or working remotely, such as what my wife's organization does. At the surface level, it seems that we could offer that to some employees and give some employees that quality of life. However, it would be detrimental to teacher morale. It's not wise to do that since Arizona has been in the midst of a teacher shortage for years. We are also lagging in compensation comparative to other districts since 20x20, and definitely cannot compete with industry, which is where we're pulling people from and losing people too. So I ask you, as a site administrator, please give us some tools to obtain and retain the high-quality people we need to execute the mission. We have shown we are conservative in our values. Let us continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have, my glasses on, Amanda Shively? Shively.
Good afternoon, Chairman Straka, Governing Board members, and Superintendent Donovan. I'm Amanda Shively, speaking on behalf of the member district CTE directors. I work for Glendale Union High School District. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the board and Superintendent Donovan for the support that we have received over the past years. We appreciate all the financial support, the support of the opportunities that CTSO affords our students, and the opportunity to participate in the community that is West-MEC and includes all of the satellite district programs and central programs. Just a couple of highlights I would like to share. The financial support allows the member districts to respond more quickly to industry sector growth and economic needs in our own communities, which is a shared community among all of our districts. An example of this from Glendale is our home health programs. Over the last 3 years, we've been able to start 2 programs, and next year we'll have 2 more coming on board. This quick response to industry demand would not have been possible without West-MEC's support. When thinking about our CTSOs, we all know that CTSOs affords our students great leadership opportunities. A great example of this are the outstanding finalists that emerge annually for the CTE Presidential Scholars Program from the West Valley. Most recent, I can highlight the Deer Valley finalists who were honored at their own governing board meeting this week. In the essays the students are required to provide, they all give CTSO and CTE credit for much of their successes and their future successes as well. My last example is the fantastic community that West-MEC has built in the West Valley. The opportunity to meet monthly as a directors group with West-MEC leadership is invaluable. We were able to discuss best practices for increasing both student engagement and success, and hear what is working in our sister districts, all while keeping up to date on all of the new West-MEC program offerings for our students and the great PD offerings for our teachers. We all believe that the collaboration that exists between central and satellite program provides the best solution to the current workforce shortage and economic development that is occurring in all of our shared communities. In closing, I would once again thank the board and West-MEC leadership for their support. We look forward to continuing to work collaboratively, as all of our districts continue to move forward, and we offer our support as you face the very difficult task of finding a new superintendent who is knowledgeable in CTE, CTSOs, and Arizona workforce needs to lead in preparing students today for tomorrow's careers. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you for coming. All right, any other calls to the public? All right, hearing none, I will move up to number 9, Dr. Isom, legislative update.
Thank you, Board Chair Straka, members of the board. Good evening. So for the legislative update, as I let you know throughout this session, we started this session with 5 bills, and at this point we have 2 that are still moving. The first one is House Bill 2034, which allows CTEDs to award associate's degrees. That passed the House Committee of the Whole by a vote of 50 to 9 with 1 absentee. And it awaits a hearing date for the Senate Education. We're expecting that to be sometime next week. House Bill 2395, which provides adult education funding. That one passed House Ed 8 to 1 with 1 abstention. And that vote occurred back in February, and then it stopped moving. So in an effort to get it continuing to move and get it to appropriations, we've reduced the ask from $5 million for 3 years down to $2 million for 3 years. So essentially the request has gone from 15 million down to 6. So we're hopefully to get that one going again and I'll keep you apprised. I did want to let the board know about a bill that is kind of coming as a surprise to us, but I'll certainly keep you informed. AZCTED learned yesterday that the Charter School Association has been working behind the scenes to get a strike everything amendment to request funding for charters to offer CTE programs. We've not yet seen the proposal, but we anticipate that if the Charter School Association seeks public funds to start their own CTE programs, it could undermine the intention of the voters that voted to form public CTED. So once that language comes out, we will assess it to see if we need to oppose it or whether it essentially does no harm. But it is of concern because it really wasn't. Usually liaisons end up discussing bills that might affect other entities, and this was one that wasn't, so we'll keep you apprised. In general, it's become apparent from the headlines that our governor and heads of the Senate and Republicans are remaining concerned about water issues, and the governor is looking to put about $1 billion towards developing a new water authority with the goal of assuring the state's water supply for the next 100 years. So that is forward thinking, and we'll see how that turns out. But a couple of items that I've kept on the board's agenda is purchase of the 30 acres at our central campus. West-MEC's attorney has recommended that we conduct a phase 1 environmental as part of our due diligence before closing on John F. Long property at the central campus. So the parties agreed to extend the study period, which was supposed to end today, to 30 days. So the new end of the study period will occur April 13th, and we are scheduled to close approximately 10 days thereafter on April 26th. I also wanted to give you an update on the parking lot at the Northeast Campus. Our architect and contractor now hold bi-weekly construction meetings, and we've added the Phoenix Airport Authority Airport Department's project representative. I think that has really improved communications, and the design and construction portions of the project continue to progress. On the administrative side of the project, we had an outstanding insurance matter as Phoenix is asking for a waiver of subrogation, which was essentially a hold harmless for events that occur on that property. Our representative of the trust let us know today that the trust is issuing that waiver of subrogation, so that should take care of the administrative side of things, and we'll see that project through to completion. So that includes my report. I'll be back later to discuss redistricting later in the meeting, but I stand for any questions from the board.
Any questions from the board?
All right.
I would just ask that the parking lot, can Phoenix tell us what else we have to do? Because it seems like we get close and they tell us there's a new requirement. I just feel like we're walking blindly down this road that you just keep going through a door and there's another door to open. And how many more doors are there till we get to the end?
Well, I'll tell you, kind of coming from the local government sector and having worked with agencies such as Phoenix, this project is one that I'm happy that we have. Usually airport authorities are very judicious in allowing land to be used for other than airport uses. I think it was a long walk, at least since my tenure, but I think that we've progressed. And as time goes on, and like I said, these projects take time, a lot of your advocates, a lot of the advocates I had to help progress, a few of them have retired, moved on. So we're kind of holding on to names change and people change, and you got to get them up to speed. And I think that this last one may be attributed to some of that, some of the faces changing and what have you. So we've kept the project moving. I've kind of had to find the last person standing in the group that helped get this project moving, and they've agreed to be our project manager. So when the insurance department or the risk department of Airport Authority says, oh, hey, hold it, we need this, I'm able to at least go back to that individual, and then they kind of partner with us and get us to the crux of the problem. So I know that from the board's perspective, it seemed like a long, arduous process, but from my perspective and knowing the work and partnerships that we've had to develop, I think it's progressing as well as can be expected. And all lights are green right now for us to continue the project. So I don't know that we've wasted any steps. It's just there's plenty of steps to go through when you're working with airport land.
So I guess what I'm looking for is, do you think we'll be paving this year, next year? I mean, how close do you think we are?
I think that with our construction meetings occurring every 2 weeks and them being there, part of it is submittal of design. They're wanting to do a road improvement along the project, so this is a long part, but you got me talking about something else. But we kind of have to marry our construction with the road improvements that are coming there. I would say if I had to give you a time frame, I'd like to think that we'd be breaking ground on the project, I'd say by summer, hopefully. Hopefully. Once the project gets cleared and gone, I mean, it like Mr. Migliorino observed a few months ago, I'd say, that, it's a simple paving project, but part of it is getting it approved. And so I'm going to say, with a caveat, I'd like to think that we're turning dirt by the beginning of summer, but certainly each month I will give you updates and let you know what, if anything changes in that time frame.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Pingarelli.
Mr. Chair, Dr. Isom, thank you. Just a point of clarification. Where, to the extent that you can discuss, where is the snag? What is it? Is it the FAA? Is it the Airport Authority? Is it the city? Can you give the board a little more clarity? Thank you.
Yeah, the way it's set up, the city of Phoenix is an airport authority, but they have to abide by all the rules of the FAA. So, you're talking about one large bureaucracy and another large bureaucracy interacting before little West-MEC can get the project going. So they don't have, the airport authority is not, on a project like this, is not the final, I'll call it the City of Phoenix, but the City of Phoenix Department, it's not the final say. They have to get everything that's submitted approved by the FAA, and it's a process. But I think we've cleared most of the FAA issues, and now we're dealing with the City of Phoenix's requirements at this point.
Mr. Chair, if a follow-up, if I may. Dr. Isom, so just a further point of clarification, what is the specific issue? Is it safety? Is it lighting? Can you kind of, because I know this has been ongoing for a while, can you provide any more clarity?
Sure, and at the risk of sounding vague, but I'll address them, all of the above. When we propose the project, first of all, there's a big drainage ditch that they want to say, well, we've used this road forever, how are you going to handle it? So we had to answer those kind of questions. What kind of lighting are you going to put in? We realized that if we tried to hardwire lighting, that was going to send up all kinds of red flags. So we went out and found more efficient solar lighting. Then they want to know how high is that going to be, because they're flying, even though we got buildings that are already there and taller than anything we could propose. So it's really been arduous. Plus they want the fence put back, once we move it, there's gotta be agreement to put it back, and how are we gonna design the replacement of it? Yeah, it's been a process. It's all of the above.
Thank you.
And typically, and I apologize, but, I was city manager of a community over there near Luke, which has many of the same requirements. Typically, they don't allow anything with education to go on airport land, whether it's, a military base or a private, public airport. So, this was a lot of finesse to get this project approved, even though it sounds like a simple parking lot. There's a lot of work to it. So far, everybody's on board. We've got, we had the vice mayor and other politicians for Phoenix take an interest, help push it through, because it's very easy for the airport authority to just say no. So there was a lot of interaction. There were tours that we've had to take to say, hey, this is what we want to do. Vice mayor and council people, can you support it? So it was quite a process.
Thank you. Anything else?
I hope that helps. I mean,
Yeah, no, it's been a long process, and
I could imagine.
to us, it seems so simple.
That's rules and regulations in action.
Yeah, but just from the time that I've been here, and I'm saying this a little bit tongue in cheek, but I think I've been told no twice. So we had to get to a yes. Early on there were no's, and we had to get to a yes, and that was a process. And we had some help from the Long family, who really don't have a dog in the fight up there. So it was a lot going on behind the scenes, and I know my reports don't quite do it justice, but in reflecting, hopefully you'll reflect that I've been very open and frank with you. All of administration has about the process, and I'm glad we're getting it done, because we'll be able to fully utilize the campus up there and expand. But I'll apologize, say that it takes time, but it's nothing I can do.
Yeah, it takes time. No, it's been a long road, and I just feel like, not to you or the administration, but the city of Phoenix just keeps pulling one more thing out of the hat. It's just, how many more can they possibly have left? So
This was a relatively little, and it was just a matter of getting our insurance, our trust, to say that we'll issue the letter, which was, so some of this delay on this issue, you could argue that was on our side, because we had to get our trust to be able to agree to issue that letter of subrogation, which they don't typically do. So,
all right, well, thank you, sir.
I'll see you soon.
Yes, in about 3 hours. Sorry. Up next, Ms. Barbara Coakley from Peoria Unified.
Governing board members, Chairman Straka, Superintendent Donovan, thank you for having us here today to share a little bit about the Peoria Unified CTE Program Model and our partnership with West-MEC. To start out, just a little bit about our program model. We have 25 programs at our 7 high schools, with 34 elementary schools running our 7th and 8th grade Technology Life Career Model, where we do a lot of career exploration. And then we have just over 36,000 students, and 98 to 99% of those students will take at least one CTE course while they're in high school. We're on a block schedule and have a lot of opportunities for students to take those courses, and they're excited to do so. The information on the right just has a little bit of program information about the different 6 pathways that we have within our programs. Within the model, we have our classroom instruction, obviously with our state standards that we follow, but we also focus on what dual enrollment credits students can get and get ahead while they're in high school, as well as the certification opportunities that they can get. So within each of the 25 programs, what are the opportunities there for them and how can we get them there while they're in high school? Additionally, we have our authentic lab experiences that we help develop in conjunction with our business partners. Each of our 25 programs have business advisory boards that help guide how we can provide those authentic lab experiences while they're in high school so they can really feel it out, try it out to see if this is something that they want to pursue once they leave the high school classroom. Additionally, we have our work-based learning opportunities that we have that range everything from clinicals in our healthcare programs to our SAEs and our ag programs and our internships. At each high school campus, we have an internship course that our CTE completers can go through and get placed in internship experiences and again get out there and get some real-world experiences that will help them make decisions about their future. Finally, a huge component of our model is our integration of our career and technical student organizations, our CTSOs. Our students get to practice what they learn, their skills, as well as their professional skills, which we know are so essential, right? They may be studying and focusing in on automotive, and then they get out and decide they want to go into another program focus. But those skills that they get in there, being able to communicate, to problem solve, to critically think, and practice those in our CTSOs are going to serve them well regardless of what their future holds. So that's just a little bit about our total program model. I've invited some folks from our classroom and our teachers and students to share a little bit. So I'm going to invite first up our Colonel Roel Zamora, and Cadet James Cook. We're going to talk to you a little bit about their experiences in our Air Force ROTC program.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to focus on the lab instruction aspect, what Barb was talking about. We're pretty strong with the student organization. I think that's probably the strongest suit of our program. Recently, we've tried to get more hands-on opportunities for cadets because we have a big part of our program is aviation. Science of flight is a class that we teach. And it's one thing to talk about how airplanes fly, but it's a whole other thing to actually get to try to fly the airplanes via simulator. So we've recently got the Microsoft 2020 Flight Simulator program, and Barb was kind enough to fund some computers that just arrived, so we're hopefully in a couple weeks going to be able to get the kids some really hands-on experience so they can not only hear about how airplanes fly, but they can experience what it looks like when you turn the yoke left or right or you pull back. And so I think that's going to make our kids a lot more competitive for programs like the Junior ROTC Flight Academy, which James will talk about here in a minute. Another thing that we're doing is looking to get more hands-on time with drones. We have a drone that we've had for several years, and we're looking to upgrade our drone program some to the point where our next goal, I recently received my FAA certification, Part 107 for certified drone pilot. We're trying to get to the point where CTE will be able to fund cadets to actually earn their FAA drone pilot certification, and then hopefully get them in some internships and have a marketable skill they can walk out of our program with. The last thing that I want to talk about is the Cyber Patriot program, which is a cybersecurity competition sponsored by the Air Force Association. It's a national competition done at each school's site, and it's a 6-person group of cadets, and they are simulating like they're a small business organization's network security team. And so they have a 6-hour competition where they try to detect vulnerabilities and correct any intrusions that have happened, and if they do well enough, they can compete at the state and even the national level. So we've had a great partnership with Mr. Ken Mattern at Cactus. He's the cybersecurity instructor. He's feeding us cyber qualified kids. We're feeding him some pretty well-developed, strong leaders for his program, and it's a really strong symbiotic relationship. So those 3 programs, I think, are kind of taking us to the next level of not just talking about stuff, but giving them those labs where they can really thrive and be marketable. And I want to introduce James Cook. He's had some really neat opportunities, kind of the poster boy of our program. James.
Nice to meet you guys. So I am the group commander of Cactus JROTC. It's just about a 170 cadet unit, and we've been doing a lot of good things. Of course, my 4 years we started just good, and we've just been improved ever since. So I had like 2 specific things I wanted to talk about today. It was, of course, the Flight Academy, which we were talking about there, and what that's really done for me and what I'm trying to do into the future. And then I'll talk about the scholarship that I got just a little bit. But some key points to follow, I guess you can say, opportunities, they multiply as they are seized. That's really been the motto I've kept throughout my high school career. And I just getting the ball rolling. Getting the ball rolling is really important to getting there. So flight, I'm just a regular high school student. As a freshman and sophomore year, I was a nerd, of course. And we had flight simulators, just the handheld iPad and everything. I was doing it with Sean O'Brien, and we thought, just fly the plane, play the game, and nothing else would come from it. But that has actually really improved where I may end up. So Colonel came to me in my junior year and said, hey, there's a flight academy. It's going to be 400 applicants who take it, and you can go to any university in the nation, and they will get you your private pilot's certificate free of charge. So being the nerd that I am, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and just really done a lot of that stuff with flight. And lo and behold, I was one of the 400. So I went over to Cleveland, Mississippi, Delta State, got that done. And it's really just amazing to me how I got there just from playing a game with my friend. We were talking about new dedicated computers with Flight Simulator already on them, and I think that the next year's cadets will have a blast and have a lot of opportunity coming from that. So of course I do have my private pilots, all that stuff. That's where I'm getting the flight suit from. But I'm trying to put it to service, put it to good use. So if you don't know Civil Air Patrol, I am a member there at the Glendale Airport. And it's basically search and rescue, making sure that everyone doesn't get lost in the Grand Canyon or something like that. So I'm trying to put that to good use over the weekend. Would never have thought about it, but there's a training program that will get me my high performance and allow me to become one of those mission pilots eventually. And, of course, getting the private pilot's license, there's some extra benefits as well. One is wings, which is private pilot proficiency. So that allowed me to get, my international radio. I can fly through Washington, D.C., and I have my 107 certificate. Going back again, if it was given to everyone, I couldn't imagine what we'd see out of that. And then the J100, of course, I've had a lot of fun times in ROTC, but of course it is time to move on to college. A lot of times with air rifle and everything, but it all compiles together. So I received this about a couple months ago, just out of the blue sky. It will cover my full tuition and partial fees as well to any school in the nation, and I plan to apply that to Embry-Riddle. So it's 4 years active, 4 years reserve. Plan on making the most of it and giving service to whoever just got the ball rolling. But yeah, that is my story, and I'm just a regular high school student. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, thank you. They have to go to a business advisory board meeting right now, so I'm going to go ahead and have those guys go. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like James has any contacts at the Deer Valley Airport to help out with the parking situation. You never know. It's a small community, so I'll hit him up for that later. I'd now like to invite up Mr. James Byrne, a Liberty High School teacher within the Film and TV program, and a student from his program, Layla Ruderman.
Good evening, board. My name is, like she said, Jim Byrne, and this is Layla. And I'm honored to stand before you to represent all of the other film and TV programs that we have in the district, because they are outstanding. We are very unique in the sense that we actually house our own internship within the program. It's called PSBN, the Peoria Student Broadcasting Network. And we actually do all kinds of live productions. So just last night, yesterday, we did 4 live productions. We did our daily announcements, which is a live show. We did a Student of the Month sort of show in the afternoon. We then did a volleyball game followed by a choir concert. So we covered all kinds of different things. And then right now we're actually broadcasting a softball game. So we get to do a lot of really cool things and really bring what we do at the school to the community. And the cool part about it is we are on the cutting edge of what's happening in the industry, and part of the partnership that we have with you folks really allows us to do that. So last year with COVID, of course, a lot of the athletics were, people could not attend. It was in-house only, just the teams. So what we were able to do is innovate, is bring robotic cameras in. So I didn't even have to bring a kid into the gym or onto the field. We were actually running the broadcast from our studio on another part of the campus. Which is kind of what the industry is doing now. So we're able to be right on the edge and teach our kids those things through that internship. And the program is exploding across all of the 7 different campuses. And it's a lot of fun. I love my job. I love career and technical education. I love the opportunities that it allows me to create for my students, which is really at the heart of it all. So last year, we actually, as a district, we got 15 nominations from the National Academy of Science and Arts. The same academy that does the Emmy Awards. So there's a student version of that. And from that, I believe we took home 15 pillars, student pillar production awards, between Liberty High School and Sunrise Mountain High School. So this year we're looking to expand that to all 7 of our campuses to bring home some hardware. But that was an amazing opportunity for our kids to walk home with a national award. I mean, they won an Emmy in high school, which is just absolutely amazing. We have all kinds of opportunities for kids in the sense that we tell our kids, we teach them things that they can instantly turn around and start making money at in high school. We just tell them to keep grinding at what they're doing and keep making things, and people will start recognizing it and picking up some work, and even while they're in high school, which is fantastic. I have Layla with me today. I'd like her to talk a little bit about her journey in the program and what she plans to do in the coming years.
Hello, I am Layla Ruderman, a Liberty senior and a tier PSBN member. I would first like to thank you for taking time out of your day to hear more about our program. My journey with PSBN started in my junior year. Taking the Intro to Film class, I learned the basics of the film industry, and it persuaded me to continue into the advanced course. This is where I found my passion for cinematography and journalism. Creating segments and scripts for our daily announcements was a different path of creativity I had never even known about before. Throughout the semester, I gained experience anchoring, learning what it takes to run Liberty's daily show, as well as how to look for stories and share them with the community. This program has opened doors that I didn't even know existed. My favorite opportunity, though, has to be my most recent and extensive project. With the encouragement of my advisors, PSBN allowed me to create a full-length documentary on Liberty's football team that I'm still working on. I had the opportunity to follow the team around from June to December. Throughout this time, I was running weekly player interviews, filming practices, team meetings, dinners, games, and so much more. I am so thankful for this experience because it revealed to me my passion in life, which is storytelling. PSBN helps students tell stories. Whether it's through short films or streaming a sports event with live interviews and complex graphics, every member has a role in telling our community stories. My time at PSBN has given me so much real-world experience, from being on Fox 12 News to learning how to wrap a cable. Recently, I toured ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, where I will continue my education in the fall. During my tour, I was able to see where the ASU upperclassmen produced their daily show. Just in the 2 minutes I was in that room, I saw a teleprompter, TriCaster, audio table, and anchor desk, 4 pieces of equipment I already have knowledge of and hands-on experience, and I felt really cool. I look forward to my next 4 years, confident that I will do great things because of my time with this program. Thank you for allowing PSBN to continue telling the stories of our amazing community. Thank you.
Did you have any questions for us?
Questions from the board?
I was just going to make a comment. I think it's very exciting that you get this experience in high school. You know, you go in, like you said, a lot more confident into the college classes. Like, you understand what's going on and you understand the vocabulary, which is very important. Good job. Keep it up.
We often get told by our seniors who go on into other programs that they're working with equipment in high school that they didn't get to work with until they were juniors and seniors in college. So that's really cool too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've benefited, we all benefited when we were at the Southwest campus, Bryce Budoff and the I think it's Centennial, right? The Centennial PSBN Peoria District were the people with all the cameras, and they were the ones videotaping our meeting that we had down there. Kenya Nozane's been coming to my program. Mrs. Coakley cracked open a little bit of the purse, and they've dispatched Kenya. Now he assistant aides.
We work together at the school. We do different things.
So he's been coming around to all of our programs and videotaping our programs. So like I teach agricultural science. We have a greenhouse, but it's really hard to see a greenhouse without being in the greenhouse. So he's been running around and making videos for us to advertise our CTE programs, kind of like what West-MEC does, right? But West-MEC has a department to do it. In Peoria, we've got students and student aides doing it. So it's a pretty awesome way to just kind of amplify the equipment that we have and the talent that we have, and helping all of the programs in Peoria District get better. So thanks for sharing him with us.
A product of the program.
Yeah, and he's a Liberty grad, and he's been through it, and it's all awesome.
He actually hasn't left in 10 years. He's been at Liberty for 10 years now, as a student all the way through college, and now he works there. So
Well, I've been in Peoria for 20, does that count?
Did you go to Peoria?
No. Well, my children did.
Well, I have personal experience with one of your grads from like 10 years ago, who went on, now works for CBS Survivor and some other program I don't even know, Beyond the Edge. I think it premieres next Wednesday. He just got back from an island off Panama. And he went on to the Walter Cronkite School from your program, went through it in 3.5 years, and has been gainfully employed ever since. So keep it up, Layla. You're on your way.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
thank you for your time. Thank you.
So as you've heard from these guys, we're trying to continuously stay up to date with what's going on with industry to help our students prepare for their next step and prepare the future workforce. So what we have been focusing on and are looking at in the upcoming years is the Arizona landscape, right, is changing. What's happening? Well, we have all these companies, these semiconductor companies and electronic vehicle, and I just saw today Nestle's putting in a manufacturing plant in Glendale. Thus, the governor looking at water issues because these companies take a lot of water to run, but they're also offering a lot of jobs in the community. And in our CTE programs, we feel like it's very important to stay in tune with what's happening in Arizona and beyond to make sure our kids are prepared for that. So in a meeting with the Arizona Commerce Authority, the Office of Economic Opportunity, they shared with us kind of what continues to be the top 5 in-demand industries, with manufacturing moving up into the top 5 for the first time in a while. And we're looking at how do we compare as a district to the top 5 and what are we looking at doing in the future. So we're excited with construction continuing. You can't go anywhere in our state, right, without seeing new building going on. And so that continues to be number 1 in our state, and we have 4 construction programs within our 7 high schools with over 550 students in it. So working on helping them develop the skills in high school, getting their certifications, and then going on to apprenticeships and then within industry. Number 2 being healthcare. We have 3 medical assisting programs, 1 nursing program, 7 sports meds programs, and then this summer we're excited to offer a new summer CNA internship. The industry kind of poo-pooed CNAs and LPNs for a while, and now they're all doing a revert back, and everyone's trying to figure out how to get more folks involved in that. So this is the first time that we're doing this in partnership with Ensign Healthcare, and to get students to take the state, go through the clinicals, get the experience over the summer, and do their state exam during the summer months and be CNA certified. So we're excited about that. Number 3, with the professional scientific and technical services, we have 5 engineering programs, 6 software development, and 1 cybersecurity program that we feed into that we're very excited about. For finance and insurance, we have 2 financial programs and one accounting program, and then finally with manufacturing, in addition to revamping some of our engineering curriculum to meet some of the advanced manufacturing requirements, we also now have 2 automation and robotics program, one at Cactus High School and one at Peoria High School, that we've been working with the community colleges as well as some organizations around the state to make sure we can fill that niche in advanced manufacturing as we see that coming into the landscape in Arizona. We're also excited to roll out our electronic vehicle switch car at Cactus High School. This is a picture of it. We just got it. We had a little supply chain issue with this one, but we finally got it in, and we'll be rolling this out in the fall of 2022 in our Cactus High School Auto 3-4 program. So this is something that we looked at implementing. We went and visited with Lucid Motors down in Casa Grande, their Drive 48 program, and their maintenance and engineer crews took a look at this product for us. There's a lot of schools and community colleges in California that have it, but nobody has it in Arizona. So Lucid Motors took a look at it for us and said, yeah, this is as close to the real deal as you're going to get here. That put us over the edge to be able to buy this and look forward to our students learning as more companies dedicate their fleet to electronic vehicles, trying to prepare those kids for the future. So in closing, we greatly appreciate the West-MEC's leadership, their knowledge and support and collaboration to help prepare the workforce of tomorrow and meet the demands of Arizona and beyond. And as a new CTE director, I call these guys all the time, and everyone here is extremely helpful and supportive, and can't say enough about them. So thank you. Any questions?
Questions from the board? Students said it all.
Yeah, I know. I should just have more students. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now we get an update on the Northwest Campus with Ms. Holly Medina and Christina Guy.
Good evening, Chairman Straka, members of the board, Superintendent Donovan. Thank you for giving us time to give you an update on the Northwest Campus. And just a quick recap, Northwest is in its 5th year of instruction and being open. It's been 5 years. We currently have 12 programs. We brought on a new program this year with nursing, so it's our first full year with a nursing program. We also integrated a partnership with DISART with a TOPS program. And good news, we will be reopening biomedical science next year. So we have an instructor in place, and that will be opening again. So we'll be back at full programming. So that's an exciting thing for us. Just to share a few of our numbers, we have our program completion rate that's sitting at 95%. Our industry credentials are at 98%, so all of our students coming through at least earns one of those. And our required and preferred is 75%. You kind of see an asterisk there with cosmetology. We are doing we're having a little bit of a struggle getting caught up with the State Board of Cosmetology testing our students. So they are just currently testing our students that graduated last May. So they're running a little bit behind. We're trying to work around that and keep those students engaged and keep them in and focused, but they are starting to test those students. So that percentage will start to increase as well. Our positive placement is at 85%, and we keep in really close contact with our students, so their response rate is 93%. They like to keep in touch with all their instructors and tell them the good news and all the good places that they're going. Some of our community engagement events that hopefully you were able to come out to. One of our biggest ones was a campus-wide event. We did a UTV bike and car show, which was quite popular, so we had a high number of people that attended that. And the last one we had was a vaccination clinic. So our veterinary science program is changing to a premise license to where they're looking at opening up their doors to the community for vaccination clinics. So we ran a vaccination clinic and gave 107 vaccinations to dogs and cats, to students, families, and employees' animals. We also run the fall open houses. We had 2 of those. We continued program tours have really amped up lately now that we can do things in person. So we're seeing a lot of our junior highs, a lot of our high school tours, community members showing up at our doors wanting to walk through, which is great. Local government, post-secondary industry, business and industry. It's been wonderful to be able to walk them around again. We also host the surprise regional chamber meetings in the Lightbox. They come onto campus and hold their meetings once a month, as well as a convener coffee hour for business and industry. So that's a place for them to gather. And then our big one is we have a signing day. And the signing day is for our students that are leaving our programs, for them to celebrate as to signing into their future, as to where they're going and what they're going to be doing. So this year it's on May 6th. We are going to incorporate our families and our students as they sign to say what they're going to do and what they're committed to do. So those are some of our wonderful numbers that Northwest has in their community engagement, but I think the biggest thing with Northwest Campus is the culture that we have, that it's more than just certifications in schooling. It's about a community of growth. So I am going to introduce Ms. Christina Guy. She's going to talk to you about our community growth, and just a reminder, this is our 2021 Counselor of the Year.
Thank you, Chairman Straka, members of the board, Superintendent Donovan. I'm happy to be here. As counselors, we run a fine line of making sure students get all the information they need, but not interrupting their classes with the important information that they are learning. So the campus counselors developed a very robust Google Classroom, thank you COVID, that we have now updated. We meet monthly and we go over what our curriculum is to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the students. We have a needs assessment that we give every year, and so we ask students what they need from us and we develop our curriculum around that. We have a culture of safety that we run to make sure that our students feel connected, respected, and safe. And you could see on this slide, these are some of the comments from students on the post survey that we run, in which they talk about how West-MEC makes them feel. So you can see that they feel like they're part of the family, they volunteer, they feel they don't get treated differently on our campus.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, so you can see those are some of the comments that we run, and we run culture of safety early in the year. So I think mid-October is the last campus that runs it, and this is what students are already saying about our programs and our campus that early into their programs in their first year. We know that COVID, a lot of things have changed mentally, emotionally, within trust and relationships. So the campus counselors built a community of growth to move forward to try and improve campus culture, where we're focused more on that we are a family rather than a program, so a whole campus family rather than the program family. So we want students to say, I go to West-MEC Northwest rather than I'm at West-MEC PT. We really are working hard to make sure that we are developing a growth mindset and goal setting for our students to be resilient and be able to be successful when they leave us. A good example of this happening on our campus, we lost a student in January in our medical assisting program. Just last week, our hairstyling program ran a fundraiser for her family and raised $800. So we're different. Our kids don't switch classes. They don't get to know each other, but we are working very intentionally to make sure that that happens in our campuses. I'm going a little bit further, and I include staff in that, administration in that. I have monthly a monthly spot on our staff meetings for community of growth to make sure that our teachers also have this feeling as well. Because it's great that our students have it, but if our teachers don't feel it and buy in, then it's really not a campus culture. So it's really important making sure that those on our campus feel like they belong, as well as our community. Our programs work really hard to give back to our community. I've worked with Homeless Youth Connection for about 9 years now, and so when I came to West-MEC, it was really important in meeting the needs of our students that we continued with that. They reached out and said, would you be able to donate a couple of baskets for Thanksgiving? It's an entire Thanksgiving meal. And I said, we'll send it out to our CTSOs and maybe we can get like 5 or 10, and our campus collected 91 baskets. So we fed 91 homeless teen families at Thanksgiving. I know our MA program does Jeans for Teens, where they collect hundreds of jeans every year to give. Homeless Youth Connection came out and gave a presentation to our staff, so it's not just me that understands what HYC does, but our entire staff does it. With our community event that we had, the Fall Festival, we had people saying, I just drive by and saw that there was stuff going on and stopped in. So we have community on our campus all the time, which leads to that campus culture that we know is so important. Another event that we run, this started, so Jumpstart to College and Career through CTE started 4 years ago on the Northwest campus. It was an in-person kind of conference type thing for our students because they were missing out on college presentations and financial aid presentations. So it started really small. Kids had 2 different sessions they went to. The following year, so Northwest and Northeast started that the first year. The next year, the 4 campuses came. It was on a Saturday, had a few more sessions. Through the surveys that we got from the students, it was said we really would like to have this on campus during the school day because Saturdays was really hard. So we were set and ready to go to have it on campus, and then COVID happened and we quickly switched to virtual. So what you are seeing now is a PDF that you got emailed, so you can kind of click through it on your own, that all of our students get. And each little word of a petal is a video session that our students can attend. So they can attend sessions on colleges, on financial literacy, which we know is a huge ask of community members, to teach kids about taxes and how to buy a car and how to buy a house, military, job prep, different things like that are in there. The career coaches came through and they asked our industry partners for quick videos on what they're looking for employees in their field. So this is the 2nd year of running it virtually. Through students' data and student surveys, we saw sessions we needed to add. So we added 15 additional sessions from last year to this year's sessions. It's in all of our Google Classrooms, so our students have access to it through the end of the year. On the Northwest campus, I also sent this out to parents so they would have access to it as well, because we know sometimes there's a disconnect between what teenage students hear and what they actually bring home, and I know that because I have 2 teenagers. So making sure that our parents have access to this information as well was really, really important for the Northwest campus. But you've heard a lot about what I've tried to do and what we started to do, but I really want you to hear from our students. So we have 2 of our PT students here who are also from the Peoria district. So Bella and Kelsey, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk to the board about some of your experiences with the community of growth.
Okay, well, I'll start. My name is Kelsey. I'm at the West-MEC PT program at the Northwest campus, and I'll actually start with my experience with Jumpstart, what you just heard about. I found it very informational and very important to me because it kind of filled in more of like the gaps of stuff that I normally wouldn't get at my other schools or in life in general. Like, I don't know how to buy a car, and now I do because I watched the videos and the sessions were very informative, and I just felt like it was a really good use of my time and prepared me for something that I'm going to eventually have to do in the future. Okay, so Student Advisory is a group of kids that meet with the administration about once every month, and we basically just talk about things that we want to see improve, or things that, we've talked about with our peers but don't really want to bring up to administration right away. So we talk to them and we give them, it's like a direct connection with the administration, and it's very helpful because kids talk and say what they want to say to their friends but don't want to bring it up to someone that actually can make a change. So it's really helpful to know like what they're doing wrong, or ways that basically like the student opinion and so it's very helpful to like kind of make a better environment for everyone. So.
Hi, my name is Bella. I go to the Northwest campus, and I'm in PT. I want to talk about my student experience, so this might get deep, but I'm a military family, so my mom was active duty in the military for 25 years, and I've moved to like a few different states in my life, and so when I first came to Arizona in Peoria, I was so nervous. I came from a little high school in New York called Baldwinville, and the graduating class was maybe about 500. So going to Sunrise with the bigger graduating class is very hard, and I didn't know any people, so I kind of just decided to make friends and get involved with some activities, so that was great. But I was trying to figure out what I want to do for the long run. So we had these informational meetings at my high school, Sunrise, and they just gave us like a list like this CTE programs, West-MEC, and I was like, oh, like I want to try West-MEC, why not? So I came to do a tour. At first I was interested in pharmacy, not it for me. I don't think I could be behind the counter doing that every single day. Praise to those people though, they save lives, but that's just not for me. So I tried out physical therapy. My first day, 20 people in a small classroom, walked in the lab. I was like, oh my gosh, like all this stuff, brand new equipment. I'm like, we're so fortunate for this. The great thing I love about West-MEC is I come to school every day, like happy. Like that's like, not every kid can say that. There's some kids that go to school, oh, I don't like it, it's not fun, it's like boring, no one wants to do school. Like, but this is something I'm actually excited for, and I wake up every day going to school knowing like I'm gonna learn something, and I'm surrounded around people that care about me and bring me up instead of bring me down. So yeah, I love West-MEC. It's amazing. There's amazing teachers, amazing administration. They take care of us. They make us feel like we have people there for us. And some families, they don't have some kids, they don't have places to go home to every day. And a family and people that support them, and they really make us feel supported every single day. They talk to us. They have weekly check-ins with us. Whenever we want to go down there to talk to them, it's always just great, and their arms are wide open. So I'll dive off my student experience because I'm starting to choke up a little bit, just how emotional I get about it because of how amazing it is and what a great opportunity it is, and how many amazing connections I've met through West-MEC. I just want to talk about our career tree now, so you guys probably know what that is, but that's a picture of me, and I kind of went over the career tree. So what we do at the beginning of the year is we all come in when we don't know each other, and we fill out our name on this little leaf, and we put it on this career tree on where we think we're going to go. So I put mine in occupational therapy, not knowing what it was, but I was like, oh, that sounds cool, and they probably make a lot of money. So that's the only reason why I chose that. But going through the program, figuring out what I want to do, it just gives us so many opportunities, and we go job shadowing, we do things like as a community together, and just following off what they said, like it's not just a school where you show up and do schoolwork, it's a community, it's a family, we show up every day, we all care about each other, we all support each other. I know some people probably are going up and down that career tree, probably me too, but yeah, so my plans are, I actually just committed today to GCU to further my career in exercise science. So that would be great, and hopefully be a physical therapist in my future. But yeah, thank you. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, except, well, maybe it's a question. Did you watch a film that said how to present to a board?
No.
Oh my God, the enthusiasm, you spoke clearly, we could hear you, it was distinct. Somebody did a good job.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Maybe even mom and dad, for all I know. But great job of presenting, and it came across wonderfully. Thank you.
We could see well through your eyes.
Yeah. Every time I talk about it, I start to choke up, just because of how my experience, and just no one really knowing that till you actually talk to somebody, and just how life-changing, like no one thinks how life-changing school can be, and the people surrounded by you. And
like, I see all your faces and I know that you all come together at some point and you all know about each other. So that's kind of what we do in class too. So it's amazing. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Happy to hear about your experience. Awesome.
I know my son started in pharmacy and he's a physical therapist now.
Really? Tell them we're twins.
Made it 10 weeks at U of A and decided pharmacy wasn't for him.
Yeah, luckily I made the decision before I entered the program.
Yes, cool.
Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you.
I'm telling you, this is the best part.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that was the best part of our meeting. Dr. Isom, are you ready to come back? Not that we're not excited to have you. It's just students are a tough act to follow.
But we love you too.
These kids do set a high bar for anybody, so I commend them. I'm interested every time I hear them talk. I think one of the places is one of the work you guys do. All right, redistricting. As I mentioned at last board meeting, this resolution kind of starts the record for the redistricting process. Hopefully, the language is pretty straightforward. It has been reviewed by our attorney and considered to comply with federal and state guidelines for redistricting. Two things kind of triggered the redistricting process. I think the last time West-MEC did a redistricting process was August of 2013. So we are certainly within a 10-year time frame, but the things that triggered redistricting requirement from the federal and state level are the completion of the 2020 census, and that data is available, and the addition of 2 additional districts, one that has already occurred, that's Walnut Grove, which is in Yavapai County, was dissolved last July. Half of that district was sent to a unified school district that is in Yavapai County. The other half of it, the southern portion, was put into Wickenburg, so now it's part of Wickenburg. It's not a very high population area, about 300 square miles. I hope I got that number right. But it doesn't add a lot of population, but also Gila Bend, the voters approved joining West-MEC this last voting cycle, and I believe technically they will be in this summer or July. So in preparation for those, we're kicking off the redistricting to kind of get ahead of that curve, and we're looking for a professional, either public or private consultant to guide this board through the redistricting process. So stand to see if you have any questions with regard to the resolution, and certainly I can give you some projections on what the process will look like in general.
Just on the resolution, is it similar to what we did 10 years ago, same resolution? So it's just an update?
It is.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Hutchison.
Thank you, Dr. Isom. I do have another question. I know we discussed this last time, and I'm wondering if there's any more clarification on, because the last one was done in 2013, and unless anything's changed, the last census was 2010. So the last one was done 3 years after the census. I know there's other circumstances this time. My question is, can we legally do this after January of next year?
To the first part of your question, the reason it was 2013 wasn't necessarily related to the census. I didn't have that information last week, but it was related to Tullison Union joining, which added a significant population. With regard to the timing of the redistricting process, you know, if it is the board's wish to wait collectively, I could run that by the attorney, but really it's the census first and foremost that kind of triggers it. And then the addition of the two additional districts and populations. So, you know, I would defer to the collective of the board, but I believe that according to my original analysis, which was confirmed by our attorney, the census is what is triggering it. And what adds importance to it is the fact that we've added two to the district.
Thank you. I'm definitely interested in some clarification from legal, whether we could wait till after January. That's the extent of my questions, but I do have some comments. I think redistricting inherently affects elections, no matter how hard we try to not let them. Ask any state legislator right now. It's causing chaos. So I think if it can be done next year, I think we should consider doing it next year to be fair to all the candidates or any candidates that may come in. But you know, if we're not going to wait, I believe the language in this resolution is deeply flawed. And I want to call specifically into the guiding principles on the motion down on number 3. And number 3 states, district administration is instructed to procure necessary private or public consulting services to consult with district administration about redistricting procedures, analyze population data, and recommend boundaries for West-MEC governing board single-member districts that comply with the law in this resolution. Now, here is my problem with this. What this is doing is inserting district administration into politics, which we should try to insulate and remove them from as much as possible. So I suggest that we handle it this way, in the same way we're handling the search for the superintendent, in that district and administration puts a bid out or whatever the process is and brings us a listing of companies we can hire. We then choose the company and we deal directly with that company. And from that point on, district administration should be removed from every part of the political process. That is to protect them, and also because there's no representation for district administration other than us. I want to choose the company and I want to choose between several plans, not have one plan brought to me by district administration. So if we cannot wait till next year, I can't support this as written. It's deeply flawed. Thank you.
If I may, the language that you reference is basically what we do in administration. Is we do just what you mentioned. We identify who's out there, and then we bring you those that replied, and certainly the board would have a say. We would not select that individual.
I appreciate you clarifying that, but that's not what it says. If we can change it to say that, I would be I'd be in support of it if we decide not to delay till next year.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be a problem with adding that clarification that the intent is there. One of the challenges that I want the board to be aware of is the go-to person and company that had done redistricting around the state. Unfortunately, the principal has passed away. So we're basically going out seeing who's available now. I've done some research through MAG and other people that have worked around the redistricting process. There's certainly companies that are capable of doing it. And there has been some interest in private consultants and moving into that space. One of them, for example, is on Maricopa Association of Governments, is contracted with them. So it may well be that when we do put out the RFP, which I intend to draft the scope of services over this next month, that we may be using a public sector organization like you did. You actually did that this last go around. You utilized Maricopa County elections. One of the challenges with repeating that is the fact that Wickenburg is now in Yavapai County and the coordination between the two. So certainly to your inquiry, we can change the language, but I also felt it appropriate to notify you guys of some of the challenges that may arise arise, should we not get private consulting interest.
What do you mean Wickenburg's in Yavapai County? What do you mean? Wickenburg is in Yavapai County.
Yeah, and they have been. Wickenburg is situated, Wickenburg School District is both in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parts
of it, yeah.
And the
I knew
interesting,
Maricopa is Wickenburg, but
Correct.
there's part of it.
interesting thing is that it has two different district numbers. So it's district number 60 in Yavapai, and it's district number 9 in Maricopa. And without really going into the findings last time, I don't know if that distinction and those, the fact that it was in Yavapai was taken into consideration when you guys adopted the last.
So last time, I know, Diane, so you weren't here. Ms. McCarthy for West-MEC ran a lot of it, but I recall that we used a Maricopa County site that anybody could select a map or create their own map, and it would tell you that it was within the population limitation and so forth, and submit it to us. And we kind of used Maricopa County software to manage the redistricting, and then the board reviewed a few versions before we got to the final. Is that option, do we have to use a consultant, or could we go back to that same?
Well, there was
process?
a consultant that did a lot of that. He brought us
I think
3 or
we-
4 options.
I think it was that someone at the county elections department gave us.
But logically, with technology today and the census being done, there's got to be something like that existing out there. Not that I'm against it having a consultant, but yeah,
Because it was kind of fun. I submitted
put it
a
in.
map to Diane as well, just because it was kind of cool to,
Yeah.
you can balance it out and all sorts of, to make sure it wasn't slanted towards any minority or against any minority, and it would tell you right away. So if the software is there, I feel like a consultant shouldn't have a lot to do for us.
Yeah, and I think that originally I looked at that, and I guess the question is was Yavapai County taken into consideration when making those adjustments? Because the data for Yavapai, matter of fact, I just got approval from Yavapai. Yavapai just got approval from their GIS to add CTED districts to their GIS. So when it's across 2 counties, there'll have to be some coordination is one of the challenges. And I don't know that county was that population, which was Wickenburg's always been in, well, excuse me, has been in both, whether that was taken into consideration. With redistricting being such a, I guess, a popular topic, a lot of times having another consultant, or whether it be private or public, and when I say public, MAG has the capacity to look at it, and but using one county or another, the question is, will the 2 counties coordinate and make sure that the populations are all the things that we need to consider are in there? Is a question. I don't want to say that I have.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably where you would use the consultant at the end, but I don't recall, Mr. Donovan, is it like 200 people in Yavapai County? I don't remember it being a significant number where, we're talking each district of 200,000, so a couple hundred out of isn't gonna swing, I don't
And the
think.
growth is gonna be so phenomenal, it's gonna change so quickly anyway.
Mr. Chairman, your question of was Yavapai considered, I believe it was, and yes, the numbers are very small, and with the addition of the Walnut Grove portion, it essentially, I think, added 6 adults, even though it's 300 square miles, and I'm not sure all 6 of those are registered to vote. But the issue is you have to be inclusive, and what the board is asking. I think what I need clarification on is there was a suggestion to get ask the legal question, can this be put off to 2013? What does the board want us to do next?
I guess does the board want to try to push it off, or do you want to move on?
I guess I have another question then, like, if we push forward, I think four of us.
Three of us, yeah.
Three of us have seats up in November, right? So it's like if we push forward and it doesn't get done till October, and that, you know, what does that do for signatures and all of that kind of stuff, right? Like I don't,
So it may make
So-
sense.
the whole parking lot issue speaks to the fact that, like, who knows what kind of little things are hiding around the next corner, and this, you know, like, if we start pushing forward and then it doesn't get done in a timely fashion, and then that, I mean, that's, I believe that's what Mr. Hutchinson's concern is, that if, like, we're racing against the deadline, people are already collecting signatures or whatever, and so like if we jostle this, what does that do? I know that the legislature's right now talking about making exceptions, but probably those exceptions would be for them, not for a school district. So then we're getting kind of caught. So I think that's, like, what would be the timeline?
Yeah, so Dr. Pingarelli, I believe you said that in redistricting, signatures for either the new or old boundary will count towards your count.
That's for the legislature. So I think Mr. Kallenbach actually brings up a good point, but so does Mr. Hutchinson. And, you know, without legal counsel here to, or at least on the phone, to answer these questions, I don't feel comfortable moving forward with this today.
Because even if we did it in 23, if it's a 1-year process, then people.
We should be working on it, just not do it.
Yeah.
We don't have to do this
Yeah, amplify
tonight.
it.
I mean,
So
why
I
don't we
guess-
answer
so-
the legal questions?
I guess what I'm hearing is, let's go back to legal and say, do we have to proceed right away? Do we have to try to meet a deadline? That's the first thing we want to hear. And then also, if we're going to do that, talk to legal about changing bullet number 3. And then we can bring it back next month.
And we could work on it.
If we need to. And we can start to work on it probably.
We could work on it and have.
Oh, but this is the first
January
step
as our
to-
target date.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman? So, you know, with this process, you know, I don't know if it's all-inclusive, but the legislature did pass a bill last year which protects the current boundaries. You know, so just as you said, that if you're in a legislative district and then redistricting occurs, those signatures are still good. So for those individuals who are running now, and this would require a legal opinion, are those signatures still valid in those boundaries? I think that's an important question to ask.
Well, also, I know when you have a school district with sub-districts, the state law says you have to keep each person in their district. You can't
Yes.
put me and Mr. Kaltenbach in the same district, or me and you in the same district. So from that standpoint, let's go, I think we know what, we need to go back to legal and get a couple of questions answered, and then we can bring it back based on that.
I think that would be wise.
Yes. Mr. Hutchinson?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add, we've had some calls from Maricopa County Superintendent's Office, and I'll say a little bit from Maricopa County Elections. We do need to get some legal clarification. I understand the questions. I just want to bring to the table tonight that the question was raised by those two offices: where does Gila Bend lie? I can't just say, put them in District 4.
I'll take it.
There has to be, I think that's going to be the challenge, is that we have a population coming in that has to be told what they're voting for. And there has to be some kind of action.
So at the bare minimum, we have to bring in the new district.
I don't know, but that's the question. Dee has taken a couple of these calls from the county. Where's Gila Bend? What district is Gila Bend in? Are you adjusting any lines because you're adding some more land population? So that's really what we need to get some clarification. About 6,000.
But you still, Mr. Chair, you still don't want to disenfranchise.
No, I'm just saying
those
that,
voters.
I don't think we can just, I don't know, I am not the attorney. I'm just saying the question continues to be raised from the election standpoint, where does this new population go?
Well, we put
Because
them
they have a
there,
right
and
to
then
vote.
when we
That's
change
right,
the
that's
lines,
what-
we put them wherever
So,
they go.
so why don't we, that's the other question is, short term, could we, and that's, I guess, for legal, short term, can we have to add Gila Bend somewhere. Most obvious answer is to the adjacent district,
Right.
which would be Ms. Wiley, and she'll go out there and meet every single person.
Yeah, I will. Yes, I'll put that on my
Door to
agenda.
door. In July.
Space Age Lodge on Friday nights.
Mr. Chair, my new concern is if it comes back from legal and they say, well, you have to be done by September 1st, and we just pushed it off another month,
So we need an answer from legal, and we may have to do a special meeting like in a week if we have to kick this off.
They'll have to give us a damn good
Okay.
reason.
That's my.
But yeah, that was in the back of my mind as well.
Mr. Hutchinson was raising his hand.
And I'll go out and knock on the doors.
All right, so we'll take this off tonight, and we'll get clarification from legal. When do we have to have this by? And if we have to, we would do a special meeting next Wednesday at 5:30 on the phone to adopt this resolution as modified if we're under a tight constraint. If not, we'll just do it in the next board meeting.
Yeah, I don't.
I think we'll just move it on with no action.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Eisen, that was kind of exciting. Not quite student presentations, but it's
Yeah.
close.
All right, so let's see, up to item number 13. Dr. Erb.
Chairman Stricker and members of the board, staffing request that I bring before you tonight is the similar one that we took, and now we're in a study session a month ago to review. Staff is here if you have any questions on any of those specific positions, questions you might answer. If not, I recommend approval of the staffing request for 2022-23.
So I do have a question, and it's based on some of the feedback or the public comment we heard and staff being overstressed and so forth. I look at some of these positions like recruitment and student application manager. How do we know we have the right staffing at the different levels? Because we're hearing a lot of the staff is working a lot of hours, the staff is overstretched. What are the metrics that we know that we're doing the right thing for our staff?
Okay, for student services and for recruiting, Marilyn, you want to come up and talk about Maya and your 3 recruiters, what they do and the number of charters and everything with that?
Good evening, Chairman Straka, Superintendent Donovan, members of the board. That position, the application and recruitment manager, is a position, so in the 12 years that I've been here, basically I was the recruiter with a couple of other counselors. And then through these years with the growth of West-MEC campuses, charters, private, homeschool, we have had recruiters come about. And Maya was one of the very first recruiters about 7 years ago with another gentleman, Kyle, who worked and left us and then went into communications, stayed with us for a while. Through that time, she has just grown into just a real leader in student services and has been someone who has put processes in place for us. Since then, we've added 3 recruiters, plus Maya, who has been the lead recruiter. As I direct student services, I really looked to Maya to be, she's this confident woman who has been with us for 7 years. Her growth has shown, her education has shown, her leadership has shown in and outside of West-MEC through our fellowship program, through ACT EAZ, But really this year, as we transition to a new focus program, which is really changing the landscape of West-MEC from everything that has to do with grading and attendance and certifications to application and registration. Everything is in one system. And as we partnered with the business office, Maya took that on and became the person who created all the processes that we are working through right now to enroll the students that we have for this school year. So as I looked across our landscape and looked at growth, I know some of our principals continue to talk about the growth that's happening on their campus and what we can do for teachers and staff. That same piece happens in the district office as well. As it goes, as campuses get bigger and more students come and more programs come, that help that's needed at the district office as well. So this role, this application manager and recruitment manager, she would oversee her own recruiters. I have 27 people that I have in my department. I oversee 9 or 10 of them. Maya would then she would learn that next piece of growth. She would be evaluating those recruiters and whom she onboards and cares for and creates processes for, as well as then this partnership that we have with the business office to make our application and registration and enrollment seamless has been something that she has put together. Her technology skills are second to none, and she is a real, she would be a loss to our department and a loss to West-MEC, and I believe that her growth in West-MEC is timely and needed. I have a resume of what she used to do to what she does do, and I believe that you all got this last year. I can read through some of those, but I'm happy to answer any questions about what you see as important.
So just trying to get this straight in my head, we're being asked to create a position, and then we'd go out and hire someone to replace her old position?
No, she would just still be the lead recruiter in that. She would just be the manager of that. It's a change of title.
So we're just elevating this position?
We are, and then
Okay.
we have 3 recruiters as well as Maya, so there's 4 in the department. As we have grown our member districts, we've even had more schools come in our member district, but it is the growth, as I presented, with our charter and private and homeschool that continues to keep our recruiters busy. And our numbers this year show the work that they've done. Now, they're brand new. They're doing a great job. They've been with us about 3 to 6 months, the 3 that we had. We lost some people during COVID. Maya transitioned to everything electronic for us. Now we're back in person again, and we had to restaff that. So that's what we've been doing for the last 3 to 6 months.
Okay, so now I'm a little bit confused. Because you said this is changing a title, but this says new support position. Are we eliminating the old position then at the same time?
I don't know HR-wise how to say that, Jack?
Okay. This previously would fall under a request for reclassification. Maya's position will fall into the same salary range currently that she's in.
No, for managers.
Well, for managers, but she's in that range currently for the managers. Changing the title has to come before the governing board. So this is a change in the title and a position and her responsibility to become an evaluator, because previously Marilyn was doing the evaluations for this department.
So then, this isn't really a position, a new position, this is just a title change.
Correct.
So, yeah, so that's, okay. So that's why I'm a little confused. So my next question is going back, I'm gonna jump back to counselor liaison district-wide.
Okay.
Again, going back to hearing a lot of staff is overworked. Have we looked at putting counselors specific to areas in the district so they don't have to drive all over the district? That would hopefully get them a little bit more focus time and a little less drive time, and maybe make their workload a little bit easier, not having to travel all over the district.
So I'll clarify. So a counselor liaison works at the district office. Our campus counselors, like Chris Guy, who came and spoke today, lives and works at the Northwest campus. And we have counselors on each one of our campus. They don't travel. So again, history will be when I was hired by Superintendent Donovan in 2010 as the counselor liaison director. Our job was to go out to our member districts and work with those counselors, because we know if you listen, anytime you talk to a student, and not maybe anytime, but like 85% of the time, if you ask a student how they heard about West-MEC, they're going to say it came from their counselor. So our train the trainer model is we work with our member district counselors, we have West-MEC reps, and then we have counselors, and then charter, homeschool, and private, which have all, well, homeschool doesn't have counselors, but those moms are counselors in our homeschools, but our private and our charter. So a counselor liaison, that was myself, and as we brought on Spranta Cleese and Shelley Tom, that was our job. As the West-MEC grew, we became counselors to some of our programs at Cutting Edge and at our different programs that were at the community colleges. As our campuses grew, we hired counselors on our campuses, but Shelley and Spranta and I kept our jobs as counselor liaisons, which we still hold. So as my job changed from that to Director of Student Services, I still have member district. As Shelley Tom's position changed from a counselor liaison to the Director of Exceptional Student Services, she still kept districts. As Spranta Cleese is now the manager of post-secondary and early college, she still has districts. So as West-MEC has grown, so just like you're hearing the staffing concerns on our campuses, there are those that you're reading from the district office as well to handle the growth and what we feel we need to do to build relationships and continue those relationships with our member districts and our new charters and privates and homeschools. So this counselor liaison position is created to work with our member district counselors, the 250 of them that there are, that we continue to give them good professional development, that we have them on our counselor advisory, that we do fall updates for them, that we do West-MEC rep meetings for them, that we just continue to talk to them about these processes through focus, that we've changed what they do. They now go into our system and upload all of the information to us. So this counselor liaison is really a person that's going to house many of those processes that Spranta and Shelley and I weave through the positions that we hold right now that have other areas that are taken care of by the district.
So this would be a fourth?
This would, yes, it would be it's the only counselor liaison. I don't have one anymore. I have people that do some of those positions.
I heard 250, so I'm just trying to process this in my head.
Okay.
So 250 and there's counselors to work with and there's 4 of you. So is 60 to 1, do I get that right? So the 3 of you plus this 4th person would work with the 250 counselors across the district. So is 60 to 1 the right ratio? That's what I'm trying to get to. Is 60 to 1 the right ratio, or should it be 50 to 1? Do we need to add 2 people? Are you making enough contacts and building the right relationships that we are effectively recruiting all of the students we can?
Thank you for that really well-stated question. I believe that with this position of a counselor liaison, that ratio that you look at is there, but we don't necessarily, we do break it down by district, but we do it as a collaborative team. And the team that we have right now has other responsibilities on top of what they were hired to do when they first came in, because things have changed. So I would never say that we're not doing the job, because we are. But can we continue to do it better? Can we put in new ideas, new PD? Yes.
So as you're coming to the board, that's my question from
Yes.
the board.
I think this-
Is that, will you be as effective as you could be, because you're bringing on all these relationships with all the charter schools? Will you be effective, or will you be still overworked because you brought on one more person, but you brought on more than workload than for one person?
Thank you for that question. I believe that with the movement of Maya moving into that position and having 3 recruiters, and the movement of a counselor liaison at the district office, that will really get us to a place where we can make some really new changes and take what we've done and make it even bigger and better. I don't believe we need 2 counselor liaisons.
Okay, but you get where
Yes.
But you get where I want you to, we keep hearing overworked or a stretch too far. So if we're gonna do staffing, I wanna make sure we do staffing right. And so that would be my same kind of question across the board to Dr. Erb. Are we are we sure that, I'm good with this, but do we have the right ratios of, or are we still stretching people beyond where we should because we've added new responsibilities or something?
Let me answer that one. We've added 2 counselors to the 2 campuses. In this staffing, we're requesting 2 more in the future when the enrollment gets to a certain level, and 2 more administrative assistants. Dr. Parsons stated about overworking. Here's the challenge. At next month's meeting, when we talk about salaries and benefits, this is the list of 25 people that have left West-MEC for either quality of life, if you want to say overworked, or for salary. I got 2 resignations today, one from the coding teacher over at the central campus. He's getting a $35,000 raise. He's going to be able to work from home for an insurance company. The secretary or office clerk left, and she's getting $14,000 more. They're looking at quality of life. The coach at Southwest that Aaron mentioned, he's getting a $30,000 raise, working 4 days a week, 2 from home, and that's the quality of life and the salaries that they're being offered, and they're leaving West-MEC because they can find better positions with higher pay and a better quality of life. That's what I think Dr. Parsons was stating when he came up here. I think this request here have been looked at by administration. We've asked everyone to turn in their requests. We reviewed them last week. I think they're appropriate for the 22-23 school year. If you want to hold off on the 23-24 for the 3 positions for the following year, we can hold off on those positions, but more than likely we'll be bringing them back.
Mr. Chairman, staffing is always fluid. Things change. I mean, we have a plan. I would like to make a motion, we approve it. But if things change and we need to add people or shift people or take people away, that's Dr. Erb's job to bring it to us. And we can do it at that time. But I think they've given it, obviously, some serious thought and presented it. And I think Marilyn did Mrs. Abiard did a
Great, I just wanted to
job.
make sure we're giving her the resources she
And
needs.
I agree with that because, we always talk about.
As opposed
He brought up, we need to talk about salaries, later time.
counselors are like at 800 to 1, which there's no way they're seeing kids.
The counselor liaison, though, isn't a student counselor.
Right.
This counselor liaison is to work with our member district counselors. So there's really that difference. The 2 new counselors that just got brought on for Northwest and Southwest, what a difference that's going to make. And that will even allow them to have more time to talk to those counselors that are kind of close into their geographic region. But the planning for them to make them feel welcomed, important, understood, as well as the work that we ask them to do. Mr. Kaltenbach probably knows that the counselors on his campuses are doing work for West-MEC. They're spending time behind their computer and doing processes, and we have to feed them that information, and it's a lot to ask for them. And they just keep coming back, and I appreciate that every year that I'm here.
And then the last question is for the instructors for 23-24. We take a lot of people out of industry, and they need to get up to teaching. How quickly do we need to, how much lead time do they need? Because that's, I think, one of the reasons you brought the 23-24 is that would probably be, you'd be hiring for those in February, looking to bring them on by March or April.
Okay, Chairman Straker, members of the governing board, if they can start in February or March, we start them as early as we can. Example, today I met with a potentially new energy / electrical instructor for next year. He's currently in a position working from 6 to 10 at night. He came in and interviewed today. He's starting on the 21st and is going to start working with the staff at the Southwest campus, getting orientated to the Premier Series and instruction, because he's never had any instruction in all the energy he's worked in electrical. He's never been taught to be a teacher. So we're entering him into that Premier Series immediately, and then job shadowing with the other staff that are there. And we've traditionally done that. The board has approved to bring them in.
That was why I was asking about the 23-24. I don't want to wait another year because that shortens your opportunity for instructors in next year.
Typically, how long is the training to onboard a new professor, a new instructor?
As fast as they can.
3 to 5 years, but Lori, want to talk about Premier Series? We just changed, because we were kind of condensed. Now we're spreading it out a little bit to make it more viable for staff, but she can answer the Premier and just how you read that.
Absolutely. So we have a teacher induction academy. So we just changed it from a 3-year process to a 5-year. A lot of that's because of substitutes. They're difficult to get during the day, so our teachers can't attend professional development during that time frame. So we have them spread out through our teaching and learning days that we also have during the year to provide them that professional development, to give them a little bit more bite-sized chunks to be teachers from industry into the profession.
Sorry, ADE hasn't changed its 3-year rule on the provisional though, have they?
No, and we'll work with our teachers on that, but most of our teachers come in under option F, and they have the 5-year experience and don't have to complete all the PD within the 3 years.
Okay.
So during this time, are they training and teaching as West-MEC instructors at the same time?
Yes.
So they're teaching during the same time we.
Maybe explain to the board what the summer looks like, and then your Premier Series is ongoing.
So like if we bring a teacher on in February and March, so like our new bioscience teacher that we just brought on, so we build curriculum with her throughout this time frame. So from February to March, we're working, she has a CNI specialist who works with her at least once a week, if not more often, depending on how much support she needs within the education world. And so we're building out our scope and sequence. We're building out our pre and post assessments. We're helping her write her curriculum, get her presentations together, her labs together, her work-based learning, teaching her what a CTSO is, going through all of those different processes all the way from now until June. June, we keep our teachers on their 11-month contract, so they do curriculum writing all through the month of June. So we go through all of their essential documents with them, from their assessments to their blueprints to their curriculum to their scope and sequences, to lay it all out for them in June, and that's when we support them through that time with their one-on-one support from their coach. And then when they start in August, we onboard them into their induction academy at the end of July when they get back in the after summer. And then we work with them in bite-sized chunks throughout the year. But they have a CNI specialist with them that whole entire 5 years. And if they're a new teacher, the CNI specialist meets with them at least once a week, if not more.
Okay, thank you.
And CNI being curriculum and instruction.
Mr. Migliorino, would you repeat your motion?
I forgot what it was. It was to approve the staffing as recommended by the administration.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion?
Please.
All right, hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Thanks, Dr. Erb. All right, moving on to calendar of events. You can see Think Tank and, the bowling event, main event, also next month. And then the all-staff meeting in May, as well as the recognition ceremony, I believe is in our packet. Future agenda items. Number 15, Mr. Migliorino.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not exactly sure how to word this, but, and I know Ms. Thompson's not here tonight, but Ms. Godley can. As Dr. Erb indicated, we'll be talking salaries and benefits soon, probably before September or October.
Next month.
I wonder if we could put together, and maybe there aren't any, a list of funds that would be available that we could use for salaries. I remember we had some funds that were available we talked about for COVID relief, and you could use it for other things, but you could also use it for salaries. But state and federal funds that could be used to put towards staff salary increases, maybe perhaps even in a percentage form.
Okay, that's a report you would probably like before next month.
Well, yes, and, you know, if we're looking at the agenda, I'd like the report prior to our looking at salaries and benefits, or as part of that.
Any other agenda items?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Thank you. And I'm not sure this needs to actually be an agenda item, but I'm finding it incredibly difficult to come up with the way I want to vote on some of our consent agenda items because there's no cost associated, specifically travel. You know, one of our duties as board members is to judge whether the cost of this travel is going to bring benefit back to the district, and I can't do that without knowing the cost. So what I'd like, whenever there's travel on an agenda item, I'd like to see a cost associated with that trip, and I want it to be all inclusive with per diem, lodging, and everything. I don't need it invoiced, but I need a best ballpark number. I can't possibly vote on something that if I don't know the cost. So I'm not sure that it is needed to be an agenda item, but I'd like that information.
So Ms. Markham is mentioning that she gets that as part of the request. So I think we could have that sent out as a report to the board as part of the agenda packet, just these travel and estimated. I think, are you looking for just a bottom line, like?
No. Let me be clear. I'm not looking for a special report to be sent for the board. I'm looking for each specific instance of travel to have a cost notated on it on the public agenda.
Okay, so you'd like it on the agenda?
We represent the taxpayers and they need to know what we're spending on travel.
In the agenda. So for the trip to Virginia, $2,000 or whatever it was.
Yeah, nothing more complex than that.
Mr. Chairman, I've only been around 58 years. Everybody wants to always attack travel. And I will tell you, in most cases, they don't understand what comes out of that. It's like our kids when they go off to CTSO or whatever it is. And, you know, somebody says, well, they're on a lark to San Antonio. They have no idea what they come back with. And to prejudge that by saying, oh my gosh, that trip cost $1,716. That doesn't make any, it just produces more work without any effect. Our travel is public record. If somebody has a question, I believe they could go to the superintendent or proper person and get the cost of it.
Mr. Chair.
I don't need that information. That's what I'm saying, Mr. Chairman.
With respect to Mr. Miglerino, if the public doesn't understand something and it may upset them, the thing not to do is to make an attempt to conceal that information. We should be more transparent and explain it even further. And I'm not attacking travel. Wanting to know specific information about our financials is in no way an attack on anything we're doing. It is a request for information. Thank you.
I think what I would request is, Ms. Markham, you just attach a page to the board book for us, because there's in other agendas from other districts, they haven't done that. If you have an example of another district that does that, I'm happy to join that. But I'm not going to be the only one going out there putting something out there, because
I don't know about other districts, but I serve on a city council and we demand to know every dollar that we vote on. I can't vote on something if I don't know how much it costs.
Could you send that example of what it looks like to Ms. Markham, please?
I'll certainly look it up.
Mr. Straight-up, Mr. Chairman, most of us that do travel understand that a round trip air ticket is $450 to $650. A hotel room is $200 or $300 a night. The state restricts how much we can spend a night. It's not a boondoggle for somebody to make money to go and travel. Now, I just don't see making more work for
Ms.
the
Markham
outcome.
already gets the form, so it's not a lot of work. We'll see a way we can accommodate. I understand Mr. Hutchinson's request. He's doing his fiduciary duty to the voters, and that's a reasonable request to make to understand, should I approve that? I'm not sure I want to put it on the agenda. I think if we put a number on the agenda and it's above that, that creates a legal issue for us. So I would prefer just to have Ms. Markham pass the information along.
Chairman Straka, then I'll definitely agree to that for now, but I would like to continue with my my addition to the agenda, specifically outlaying that travel costs shall be agendized publicly. Thank you.
Any other agenda items? Dr. Pingarelli, I hear nothing. I will move on to item number 16. A motion to adjourn.
I want to continue.
No, you don't.
So I will the gavel to you, and you are welcome to continue. Thank you, everybody. I'm adjourning us at 6:30.